Hello, welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Newcastle United have beaten Sheffield United 1-0 in front of 10,000 fans up at St James's Park. Lee Ryder was there as usual and he joins me now. Lee, we'll start with the return of fans to the ground. I know you tweeted it before the game about the players getting a warm reception. It must have been nice to be part of that pre-game warm-up with the fans actually in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's all season. It's been the one, big thing that's been missing from fans, and ultimately tonight we got them back, and it made a difference from, as I say, the players coming out for the warm up. Going into the kickoff, local hero blasting out. It's unbelievable the difference it can make, and I think that's what got Newcastle over the line tonight because, they weren't spectacular, decent first half, hanging on in the second half. But I think the fans really helped them do that. And it was just good to see them back. And they made their feelings known on numerous issues since lockdown.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that there. I mean, we had them talking about the takeover. Of course, there was a chant directed at the Premier League. They made it clear that they would like Joe Willock to stay as well. What did you make of just the fans throughout the game and how they were?
Yeah, I think the fans, the Premier League one was, very loud and clear. And we've had this situation throughout, as I say, lockdown in total. The takeover situation, the fans were left in the dark. And yeah, tonight was the first real opportunity.
I think Lee may have his stream may have crashed there. He is up at St James's Park. I'll get him back in now there. Lee, are you back in there? I think your connection went there.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah,
that was the Wi-Fi. But yeah, what we talking about, the crowd reaction to
the takeover
the Premier League,
yeah.
which was a story that was filed at half time. So it was it was a busy night all around.
And on Joe Willock, we remember, I think everyone remembers, what was it now, 4 or 5 years ago when Rafa Benitez wasn't sure he was going to stay at Newcastle. They beat Spurs 5-1, and it was a great afternoon. How integral do you think it might be for Joe Willock and what he decides for his future to play in front of fans, even though it is only 10,000, but to hear that, that affection that they've got for him?
Yeah, I think it'll certainly be a factor, but what will also be a factor, and I don't want to put a downer on things, will be Arsenal's asking price, and it has probably rocketed up now. We're talking 20 million not that long ago. It'll be up to probably 30 million now. We don't know. Arsenal are the ones who can dictate this situation. For me, a sensible move for both clubs would be to extend the loan next season, and if Newcastle want to commit to a clause where they can get him for whatever the price is, I think that works for both clubs. It would give him experience as well. But the way Arsenal have played this season, I don't know how they're getting on tonight, but I know that no Arsenal players scored as many goals as Joe Willock in the second half of the season. So maybe he's got a future there. But he's done very well, and for me, I've enjoyed watching him. A midfielder that gets forward and gets goals is absolutely the perfect player for me, and he's done that this season.
Yeah, I think Steve Bruce said afterwards that's a double-edged sword because he keeps performing so well, and then like you say, that's going to up the price. It's going to think Mikel Arteta's going to be thinking, well, can we get him into the Arsenal side? But it is one of those decisions, Lee, that Newcastle are going to have to decide on quickly, isn't it? Because we've seen how integral he is to Newcastle United. We saw again today, gets the goal. He's just brilliant going forward. He gets around the pitch. And if Newcastle, have to wait until the end of the window, is that a bit of a gamble, do you think?
Yeah, because you would like other players through the door and other deals secured, and it would be a big gamble. But if I'm being hypercritical, then maybe if Newcastle agreed a clause within his contract, if that was available, they could have had him for whatever price they'd said by now if he'd made a certain number of appearances. But look, he knows how the Newcastle fans feel about him. They made that very clear as he was walking around the pitch 2 or 3 times today. I think he was getting a selfie with some fans towards the end after doing some interviews. So, absolutely brilliant effort from him today.
Another man who excelled again, Allan Saint-Maximin. He just seemed to really enjoy having the fans back on the ground and kind of playing up to them in many ways. I mean, Sheffield United couldn't handle him. Unfortunate to see him go off, because I'm sure he would have liked to stay on until the end and taunt the Sheffield United defenders a bit more. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant for that 70 minutes. And there was one touch where he just took the ball down and the whole ground just sort of, oohed and awed, and it was just brilliant to see. And then obviously the assist, it was that Ivan Edel stuff through to Murphy before he crosses. So look, he's a class player. It's how he's managed. He come off the field with 20 minutes to go today. Apparently it's not so bad. It's a knock, but we'll see. It's been a good season, good second half of the season for him after coming back from injury, and him coming back and being on form has coincided with Newcastle, edging towards safety. And he's a big name, big game player, and Newcastle thankfully have got him tied down. But we know already he's been linked with Roma in Serie A, with Mourinho going there, which is exciting. So we hope that Newcastle can put a team around him that makes him want to stay.
Just one of the questions here from Declan Moore, and he says, if you were Willock, would you sign? Do you think it would be the right move for Joe Willock for another year, perhaps on loan? I mean, I suppose getting that first team football is probably key for him at such a young age.
Look, if I had 30 million to spend, then I would spend it all on him. That's how highly I rate him, and then I would look at bringing in loan players in and around him, because if he's available at that age, then he's certainly the type of player you would want to, as I say, build a team around. And the last how much more evidence do you need that he's worth the money? Because not only has he scored the goals, but he's shown a great attitude, because he actually got dropped, and each time he come off the bench, got back on the pitch and showed what a great attitude he has. He didn't sulk. He got on with it, and he's shown what a top player he is. And I just think if you had the 30 million, then that's who you would sign, because they've got other players around them who can make this team tick. But I would say they're probably halfway to getting a decent team now. But it's what investment goes in and around that. Depends if you're serious players or not. And they've spent quite big in recent windows, but with the way the money's been during the pandemic, you wonder which way it's going to go.
Another good game for Almiron. He gets a bit of stick for not finishing, not getting on the score sheet, not getting the assists. But when you look at the play, he's often involved right at the start, and he breaks. I know he got a bit of praise on Match of the Day over the weekend, and I thought he had another good game today. There was one moment when he probably should have been a bit more selfish and fired a goal, but he tried to pull it back. Is that something you'd maybe like to see in his game a bit more? Maybe just taking the chances when they're in front of him and being that bit more selfish.
Yeah, I think that this has been a big season for Almiron, and when he was injured, the team really missed him. And the thing that I've now got an eye on is the Copa America, because that means he's probably going to come back into pre-season training a bit late, so it might make him touch and go for the start of the season, because he probably needed a bit more time off. But overall, since he come in, I mean, people doubted him because of the price tag. He hadn't got goals. Steve Bruce has actually got him, onto the goal trail a bit, and he has. I always said when he first signed, he would take 5 or 6 months to settle in, and it did take him a while to settle in. But this season when he's played, he's been pretty much 8 out of 10 most games. I mean, there's been a couple of games where he dipped, but overall, probably, if you're giving him a rating for the whole season, you would say, yeah, solid 8 out of 10.
And how do you think the players and Steve Bruce handled today? Obviously, it's a big step getting back in front of the fans after so long. How do you think they handled it?
The players, I thought they rose to the occasion. Certainly, first half, they played some good stuff. Second half, they were shooting up the hill, I suppose. That was the one thing Sheffield United won was the toss at the start, and it does make a difference. Newcastle had to work for it in the second half, so I thought they handled it well, and they seen the game out, and they got the win, which sent everyone home happy. Really, Steve Bruce was the target of some negative chants in the first half, and I think there was a Rafa chant as well at one point, which we thought that had been and gone, but then obviously it was a lap of honour. I looked down. I had to be honest, as a human being looking at another human being, I wondered if he would go around the pitch and do it, but I think he got a bit of encouragement from a few people where the sort of old paddocks area was, and a few people let on to him, and I heard him say thank you to them, and then he went round, and then I think obviously a few in the Gallagher gave their opinion, and he was asked about it in the press conference afterwards, and he said people are entitled to their opinion, and he said I warned everyone at the start I wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea, and that's what he said. So I mean, he was never going to get clapped, he was never going to bring the house down going around on a lap of honour, but he's shown that he could take it, and he's gone round and done it.
Just a quick word on two of the more experienced members of the squad. Paul Dummett making his 200th appearance today for Newcastle. I mean, we've spoken about him in previous episodes, Lee, but that's a great achievement for Paul Dummett, and a great example as well of where hard work can get you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we all know the story about when he was at the academy, and one of the coaches come around and said, "Does anyone fancy going to Gateshead?" And he was the only one who stuck his hand up. That showed that he was prepared to fight for a career, and he's a great example. So for him to still be at the club almost 10 years on from breaking in and around the first team, brilliant for him. 200 appearances. We now await to see if he gets a contract. If he does, great. If he hasn't, he's had a career that most people could only dream of.
That leads us into the next question as well. And Andy Carroll, he came on for around about 6 minutes. I mean, do you see Carroll going out? Do you see him getting an extended deal? And do you see Dummett as well? What do you think the future holds for him?
Well, we're not hearing anything on Andy Carroll at the moment, but I think his contract was negotiated with people in high places at the club last year, and we'll wait and see if that gets renewed again. A cameo performance towards the end, didn't really have much time to shine, and ultimately end up finishing the game with a few defensive clearances. So I'm sure if this was his last game in front of a crowd, he would have liked to cap it with a goal, but it's been a difficult sort of second half of the season for him in terms of getting in the side, and you need to get a run together, and you need to have that sharpness, and he hasn't been able to put it together. So we'll wait and see what happens with him. There's another game to go. I'm sure a lot of things will get sorted next week, but for him, at least he got on the pitch for one last time in front of the fans. And who's the other one you mentioned? There was
Paul Dummett.
Dummett, yeah. We'll wait and see if he gets the contract, and then obviously Murphy is the other one. He's got another year, but I think there's been talks about an extension. And Fernandez, I mean, for me, I thought Fernandez was one of the big almost unsung heroes tonight. If you look at how many touches he got, I think it was something like 85, about 8 clearances. He was absolutely phenomenal tonight, and I think he's worth another deal as well, personally. At least a 1-year extension if you can give him it, especially if you've got no money to spend.
There's quite a few, isn't there, that need. There's Gale as well. He's been rumoured to have already sorted something out, and Share as well, although nothing's been announced on either of them two. Just finally, what was it like then, just to go right back to the start of the conversation we've been having, to have fans back in the ground, only 10,000 of them, but to hear local hero, to hear the fans, enjoying that moment when the drums clang at the end of it. What was it like to be back in the stadium with at least some fans?
Yeah, I mean, it's normality. Even being down back in the press box area compared to being up on level 6, it's almost like not so much a different game, but certainly completely different viewpoint. You hear even more, and it is, a completely different situation with fans in the stadium. We knew that anyway, but for me, I thought 10,000 fans, genuinely sounded like 50,000 fans tonight. I thought it was brilliant, and yeah, let's just look forward to the day when this fantastic stadium is completely full again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. The start of next season, we can all get there. We'll let you get off. Thanks for popping on to the Everything Is Black and White podcast. You can head over to chroniclelive.co.uk to read Lee's match reports, player ratings. We have Sean McCormick doing 5 things we learned tonight, and plenty of other reaction as well. Thank you for